Live from the basement of death studio, it is Playin and Slayin, episode 88, the Michael Irvin episode,
Ooh.
which will probably come full circle in a little bit. But for now, we're going to get started with this episode, a banter-full paint-along episode. Even though none of us are painting, we know that you should be because Adepticon is coming. So listen to us and paint your minis and get ready for Adepticon. That's episode 88.
Yep. That's it.
I mean,
thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ty. That's good.
Yeah. I tried to do the Price is Right like announcer thing too on the lead-in.
Ooh, yeah.
It sounded good.
So we're gonna work on that.
Yeah.
We're gonna get better. I'm gonna get better so that 89 sounds just like a game show voice for you.
I don't even know who is the announcer for Price is Right now.
Rod Roddy.
Rod?
You know
Rod
this?
Roddy. Of course.
Okay.
Come on. It's Rod Roddy.
I don't. I have not
Get
watched.
out. Get out. It's
I have not
Rod
watched.
Roddy.
I have not watched The Price is Right in decades.
Well,
so.
I guess I don't know who it is today, but
Hot Rod Roddy.
Rod Roddy is the.
Well, he was like the voice that. Okay.
Well, there was one before him, but Rod Roddy was my.
Was your guy? Okay.
Yeah, that was my guy.
Our
right.
generation.
All right.
Mhm.
You got it here first. You got it here. That trivia that you don't get that from every podcast. That's for sure.
Yep.
No, you don't. And on Playin and Slayin, you also get this. And that is when you're playing and slaying, it is important to stay hydrated. So let's start with Josh and see what variety of Agua de Muertos.
Oh.
It's the Rest in Peach Liquid
Yep.
Death. It's a really good one. I always stock this one because it's my favorite. So.
I just got my variety pack of Liquid Death today that has the different flavors.
That's a good one.
Otherwise, I always just had Dead Billionaire, but
Yep.
I'm excited to have, because I've tried all of them now, almost all of them, I think, between you and whatever else. And I'm like, I found what I don't like. So I'm like, variety pack, here we go.
Awesome.
Wonderful. And I apologize. I did say Death Water, not Liquid Death. I don't know liquid in Spanish.
No, that's
Agua
not-
de Muertos, water of death.
It might be. No, it's probably not. You're right. Liquid is
Close-ish.
probably a different.
It's close-ish.
So, hey, if you're listening and you speak Spanish and you can help me with my attempt at Liquid Death in Spanish, please let me know. Thank you. Troy, what are you drinking?
I am drinking. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, I should have been better prepared. It is a dark beer.
Ooh.
In the Basement of Death glass.
Love it.
It is, I gotta get it right. The Island of Misfit Beers. And this one is Bumble Porter from Obscurity Brewing in Elburn, Illinois. I think I got this as a Christmas gift or a birthday gift. And it was like,
never heard of them.
Yeah, I think it was a special because it was there's this porter, there's like a Belgian, there's like a red ale. I think it was like a 4-pack of these different, and I assume they're kind of, specialty brews that they did for their thing. So Obscurity Brewing, and we should give it a
wonderful.
Really good. It's not super alcohol-y. It's only like 5%. So for a porter, for a weekday porter, it would be pretty good.
It's just drinkable porter. I like it.
Yeah, drinkable porter. Not and not like you're doing a dragon's milk, which I wouldn't make it through the episode, right? So, all right, Ty, here we go. You got to bring it into frame, though. Bring me a little bit.
So, in honor of Adepticon coming to Milwaukee, you wouldn't be able to purchase this beer at Adepticon in Schaumburg, but when Adepticon comes to Milwaukee, you will be able to get Spotted Cow, and you should. And I also bought a 6-pack for the Super Bowl and didn't finish it, so I had a couple left in the garage, so I grabbed one for tonight.
Excellent. Love it. Good
beer. It is refreshing. Not usually something I drink a lot of in the wintertime, but I am so spiteful and angry about winter that I'm trying to channel the arrival of warm air and sunshine.
You got to drink your way through it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
winter. Once we got to whatever it was, right, mid February, winter came back with. We got real winter here in Wisconsin. So
Yeah, real cold, interfering with Josh's 5Ks. We got to get it.
yeah,
We got to get him back out on the roadways, tearing up his age bracket.
There you go.
For more shows like this, check out the Goonhammer Media Network. More info at media.goonhammer.com.
All right, let's hit it right off the bat. Where and what are we playing? Because where matters, and there's been some discussions about naming some BoD franchise locations, clubhouses.
there were charters. You guys corrected me that
charters, yeah, charters.
I think you guys realized I was trying to maybe collect some kind of franchise fee.
You wanted the franchise. And I said, no, we're more of a club. It's got to be a charter.
And you're right.
Mm-hmm.
I felt a little bad for about a minute, but that was about it. Yeah.
But we did. Troy and I and John, Troy's brother, went over to our friend Eric, friend of the show, BoD member, and played some Kill Team relatively recently.
Mm-hmm.
And in Discord, I did name his Basement of Death location as the Wolf's Den. Eric has always been a big fan of all things Space Wolves, so I know it was just I was just like, I'm gonna name it, and it stuck. So we went over to the BoD Wolf's Den, or is it the BoD Wolf's Den, right?
Ooh,
yeah.
I like that. It's good. And I mean, Eric, I think it's been the last couple of years, right? He had been working on refinishing his basement for I don't know how long it took, about a year or so, but he's got it in really good shape. I think it was like maybe last spring, summer, right, where he had kind of got most of it. It's really, really nice little place. So we've been going over there to play a few games. And now it's been christened with its own name. So.
Had a couple Kill Team tables or boards stood up on the table next, and Troy and I squared off. It was kind of the first time I played Kill Team with like the actual objectives and cards.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of figured out my way around that with Troy's help. And then we had a little Necron versus Imperial Inquisitorial agents battle.
Yeah.
It was relatively violent.
Yeah. Well, like I think like most Kill Teams games, but it was fun. Like your group, that Quill team you had, I had never played against, but they were pretty cool. Like they had a lot of variety, and all the little characters all do something a little different, including the little, was it Scrivener, the little guy with the typewriter?
Yeah.
Like you're like, why is this guy out in the middle of a battlefield? But
he taxed you.
He did something, until I killed him, and then I killed him.
And bureaucracy. He had the bureaucratic ability that made you pay more for your abilities.
Yeah.
He sent you tweets.
You
need to pay more.
Yeah. He sent a bill. And then Eric and John did, I think, the Space Marines versus what do they call them?
Death Guard. Yeah.
Death Guard.
Plague Marines. Yep. Death Guard guys. So
cool.
Yeah, it was a good time to play a 40K light, because I don't think I could play actual 40K.
No,
but 40K light I can handle.
Yeah, I kind of like where Kill Team is at, because you can just kind of, and then we were using the Goonhammer app
to score the game,
to score it too. And now that I've used it a couple of times, it really is useful to kind of track because if you are doing the secondaries and scoring and things, it does a nice job. And it also reminds you to take pictures, which is awesome.
And I forget what Josh had going on, but Josh couldn't make that. And that's going to be a recurring theme for the next 3 games I talk about, is Josh has had a very busy social calendar.
My dad was in town for a week, and that kind of messed some things up. Yeah.
So if I'm not asking Josh what he played in Kill Team, it's because he had important things to do.
Family obligations. Yeah. Sorry.
No, never apologize. Just, I don't want to appear to be rude, so.
No, you're good.
I would never let an episode go by where I don't mention you, though, Josh. Ever.
Again.
Ever again. Then, this was real recent. I put a general call for help out to the BoD Discord to do a play test. So I'm running a RPG at Adepticon, a couple games of Imperium Maledictum. So I wanted to get a group to play through it and kind of see roughly how I stuck to the time and how the encounters were tuned, and because it's a game I've never played or run. So I was like,
Yes, you have. Now you have.
yeah, now I've run the game one time. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to overshare because, there might be one or two people that listen that play it at Adepticon. But kind of group got the mission, handed out the character sheets and backgrounds, let them kind of choose what was going on. Troy had printed out the Inquisitor's last message. So that's out there now on the BoD website. I'm sure we can post a link in the show notes. I think we did for the Adepticon episode. But the idea is an Inquisitor has sent a last kind of dispatch before his ship self-destructs. Inquisitor Frost, who is a recurring character in the Basement of Death Space Hulk scenarios. So I kind of took Troy's IP and ran with it to create a story kind of off of those events. But yeah, so Troy, you want to anything you want to share? Any review of the session, the scenario, the play in person we got to play?
I think cool. Right, we got to play in person around the big table, and I enjoy. I mean, we'll probably dig into it a little deeper in the mechanics, but if you played kind of Dark Heresy, it's kind of like now like version 3.0 of kind of the Dark Heresy engine, and it did feel like it's streamlined enough. I mean, I think we had everybody was pretty experienced role players, and we all kind of jumped in, right? I don't even know, right? Did we even spend 10, 15 minutes on the rules? I don't even think right?
Yeah, I did a little 10, 15 minutes of character sheet and actions and like fate points, some of the key things.
And then, I think everybody just kind of jumped in, and we were all, and it was good. Yeah, I think, again, I thought the mechanics were in the good spot, had some good action, had some real, maybe, I don't want to spoil it, right? We might have had some real miniatures on the table, might have been maybe not Matt Mercer level, but it was close. It was that. So
there was a battle scene. How did you feel being put into your Inquisitor Frost world?
Oh, I love it. I think it's pretty cool. I do. I mean, I love the riffing of, like, again, I had a seed, and then you took that seed and made a story, and you bounced some stuff back, and then I kind of like just tweaked a few things, like, oh, here's little things how I've thought about it in the past. So I love that. I love when you can kind of bounce stuff off each other and see how people can run with it. So I think it's really, and the fact, and you've added a few, like you took a few things and added some even more history, and like, oh, that makes, and it would be like, oh, that makes total sense. That's the way I like it.
That's great.
So yeah. So again, we're being very abstract, but I don't want to spoil too much. Maybe when we're all done, we'll publish out I told Ty he needs to publish it now as a actual encounter once we're all done on Drive Through RPG.
So what are the types of mechanics in that game?
Yeah,
it's all percent based. Yeah.
Okay. D100, and you roll under your stat. So
cool. Okay.
You have like your ability scores basically, and then skills that you can advance on top of that. So very like Outbreak Undead, how rolling low is good, and average is like probably in the mid to upper 30s. So like it didn't feel too hard because there's enough mechanics to like give yourself some bonuses and stuff to be successful. But it can be pretty violent. Like
like the damage is the damage. The damage charts are the damage charts. Yeah. Which it should be, right, in that kind of universe.
There was one funny moment where an NPC villain in the fight kept getting critical damage, and you roll on a critical chart, but we kept hitting the hit location of his right leg. So like the first attack, like damage just like cut off toes, right? Then the next one, and we just kept rolling. The next one was like he got kneecapped, and then it was like an artery. And like every attack was this poor guy's right leg that just kept getting battered. Because you like you roll the hit, Then if you're successful, you roll a d10 for a hit location. And then depending on where it is, you apply armor, you apply damage. And then if the critical success is gained, there's a chart you roll on. And then it adds like some effect. So he was like knocked prone and couldn't move. And then he was like, his leg was basically amputated.
Yeah, he lost the leg.
Yeah. And the crit mechanic is pretty cool where it's like, it's basically, I'll call it doubles on the dice. So if it's like 11 or 22 or whatever, then that is kind of their crit mechanic. So you still kind of have, you probably are about, because most skills, if you're decent, you're probably in the 40-50% range. So like a critical hit, so you're probably getting a critical hit about, you have like a 5% chance maybe, right, of ever rolling a critical. And then there's, again, some ways that you can use, we'll call them like, I don't know, what do they call them in the game time? It's not like fate points or something.
Yeah, it's a fate point.
Fate point? Is that, yeah, where you can, and that there's some basic things you can do with a fate point. One of those is like, I can set my dice to a certain value, and that's what they call burning them. So it's basic, again, in a one shot, it gives us a little more leeway because you're like, yeah, we don't care because we're never gonna
right.
If we never regen it,
we don't got to worry about playing next session and
right.
being at 0 fate. Like,
yeah.
So you start at 3, and if you burn one, like another way to burn it, right, is you can avoid death. Like somehow, if you were going to die, you burn your fate point and you don't die. Like you're unconscious and you fall out of the scene, but like you're not dead. So there are different ways to do that. To like,
and I think,
and are there ways to gain them back?
Yeah, like as you play through the campaign, there are ways to earn fate through like heroic deeds or various other things.
Nice.
Yeah. But they're supposed to be a pretty scarce mechanic. But I like it, especially for like a one shot like this, having a little. And we only had like each of us maybe 2 to 3, right? Yeah. But it gave, for that scenario, again, it gave you a couple times where you're like, oh, I really want to do this really cool thing or not, or have this, and it just gave you enough that everybody, during the game, everybody had a chance to kind of do, something really cool by burning one of these fate points, which is pretty cool. So,
and especially for like a con play test, right? You want to
exactly
have a little bit of feel good, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, Tom and Paul, Eric, John, and Troy. So we had 5 players out of the 6, and should be set. Just a few little tweaks. Gonna make some changes to like story arc to make sure that we fit the time constraints, and then make one combat encounter tougher, because it was kind of like one of those one enemy versus party, and the party just does too much to make one enemy challenging. So add a second and hopefully not kill everybody is the hope. But little stuff.
Nice.
And I think character sheet audit only caught like 2 errors, so not bad for the night before. But yeah, Imperium Maledictum, more to come. Adepticon 2025. 2 sessions. Don't know if there's any tickets on left or not, or if they're still.
Last time I looked, I do not believe so. But
maybe I'll run a 3rd one. Just kidding. And then we got together with John just this last weekend. Troy and I did. Josh had family commitments, and we played Oathsworn. We played the 9th scenario of Oathsworn, and it was fully painted. All the terrain, the monster, the heroes. Those fully painted minis then ended up in a snow pile on my way out of Troy's house. They were all recovered, and I dried them off, and there was only a little bit of some of the contrast paint from some of the bases that ran a little bit from the melting snow in the car.
Yeah, it was the
gust of wind, foam tray, and into the fresh snow.
It happens, man.
I didn't know what to, because I was kind of like peeking. Oh, I think, because you went out and then John was going.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I saw the classic Ty with a phone out, and I'm like, uh-oh, what was that? And so I sent John out, and then I grabbed a big light and came out, and we went. We
rescued all minis.
All
we
of
found
them. Yeah, we all rescued somehow.
Yep.
I don't know how. Like, they were over a wide.
So it's crazy. Like, I had the big Osthorn box, and then the cardboard box of the terrain, and then a foam tray up top, and I was carrying it in this massive. Like, the wind that night was crazy. Like, 15-mile-an-hour gust.
Yes.
Just caught the foam tray, and the minis are light, right? They're like light plastic minis, and the tray just started going. I went, no, and I just saw it go blow away, and it like the tray traveled like 15-20 feet, and the minis just kind of went like in this arcing. It could have been a horrific disaster.
Yes.
But the actual
and it was like we had gotten that 4 inches of snow like 2 days before, so it wasn't like that was the worry, like they were dropping into a snowdrift and like you weren't gonna find them. So
to some degree it's almost better that they landed in snow instead of like on pavement, right? So they kind of landed softly into the snow, maybe. I don't know.
But the Osthorn encounter was fun.
Yes.
It was a good I mean, they've all been really great. That game is just very, very well put together.
And again, really good. The balance between the story mode, again, so much fun. It feels like they keep getting like the story modes even keep getting better and better, and they make adding enough difference so that it's not feeling like kind of samey, like. And so, again, you guys hear us talk about Osthorn all the time, but just really enjoying it, and excited as we kind of get to almost the halfway point here. So,
definitely. Who else has been playing stuff? Troy, Josh?
We've been continuing the breakfast gaming before school, so not every day, but at least every other day. So we'll mix it up, lots of different games. So. Yeah, it's been fun, and it's a nice ease into the day, right? Start off with a quick little game, so it's nice.
Awesome, and I broke out my copy of My Island. I think Ty talked about that because he played it. I think when Nicole, you guys did, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Sarah, I mean, not that much for Sarah to, figure out, and she kind of enjoys that, and I, and you can kind of help her. I can kind of, if she does, gets into real, but again, did she beat me? No, I might have. I think I've won by 1 point. I don't know. I think we're on the third one, and she's won 1, and I've won 2. I think so far, but it is kind of cool. It's we enjoyed when we played through. Was it My City? And it's interesting to see how he kind of changed things a little bit. I'm only and we're only through chapter 1, but it's kind of fun how that. So just looking at a nice little one again. Throw it down, get through one. You get through a session in whatever 20 minutes, half hour at the most, right? And so great for the my 12-year-old's attention span. So that's.
I think that's it for gaming. That was good. Games played. Quick segue before I dive into the hobby section. I was doing the annual text messages to my Southern friends, Jacob and Fletch, talking about, are you coming to Adepticon? And it was funny because I was looking back and the last time I texted Jacob was around Adepticon last year.
Yeah.
Well, and I was talking to Fletch about AOS, and he said they went to the Nashville Teams tournament, and there's 16, 5 or 6 player teams. They were the only team that had a display board. He said it was super competitive, just tough. And he's like not how I want to play anymore. And I said, I can't. That's how it got when it got too confusing. I said, I looked at some of the rule changes for 4th, and I want nothing to do with it. It looks so complex, and it's where it's gone is just a game. It is not what I want, and it got me thinking about playing 40K or
Yeah.
playing Age of Sigmar, and like I don't have the time to learn and to know what stuff does to play at the level I would want to play at. Like,
Right.
and I've now, like, I thought that's the way I've been headed for a few years, but now like I'm there. I'm just I can't fathom the idea of playing Age of Sigmar. So, anyways, hobby, what have we been doing? Troy, that's a really cool piece of furniture back there. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, well, people probably can't see it on my screen.
Oh, because you've narrowed
but
the screen.
yeah,
so
I've
like,
narrowed
you
it.
shouldn't
Yeah,
lean
you
to
can
either
see it.
side and
Right,
fall out.
right,
Got it.
right. So you can see everything behind me, but our viewers are watching on YouTube. But for people who are only listening, I can describe it. So, I think it's the Playin from IKEA because they got rid of the Detloff, I think, right? That was the other one that
It was the
people used to
Detloff
get
previously.
Yeah, so I think it's the Playin, and no, there's some YouTube video. I think I owe Dr. Gabe. He asked me a question about how I did the lights, and I just watched some YouTube video and did whatever they did. But I finally, again, you guys have been over here. It had been in I'd assembled it like 2 months ago, and then I'm like, oh, I got to put the lights in, and it never got. And I finally just partly it's like I have all this I'm trying to get stuff off my plate so I can just focus on whatever we need to do for Adepticon. And it was just bugging me that it was like half built sitting there, and I was trying to get room. I wanted to put stuff in it because it was like this waterfall of like, well, I want to clear some shelf space over there, but I want to need a place to put the minis. And I don't know, I'm all really good at like stacking these projects so they have all these dependencies, and then I'm like, all right, I got to start at the top so that I can get all the dominoes to start to fall around that. So, but yeah, I think I was a little bit like, I don't know, I'm just going to follow this and use these little, and I got some extra shelves for it. So I think I have 5. I have 6. I got 3 extra ones. So you could have 6, but I left 2 bigger ones. So I think I have 5 shelves in there, and I don't know. We'll see. It's kind of cool. And I have it hooked up to my Alexa, so I can just say, Alexa, turn on the BoD mini cabinet, and it lights it up. Well, now Alexa's talking.
She heard you.
She heard me, yeah. But she didn't hear me enough to turn the lights on. So that's about been it for my hobby, though. That's about it.
We gotta work on that. We've got a big deadline coming up.
Yep.
All right.
I have been doing other weird, like non-miniature hobby stuff, like stickers and websites and planning and whatever.
All right. That's also acceptable.
Yeah.
I'll allow it. Coop.
I kind of hit a hobby slump, but before I hit the slump, I knocked out Deadpool for MCP, and I've never really cared for the bomb that he rides on. Like, it's all right. Like, I think some people do it really well and it looks great. But I don't know. It's not my favorite. So I was like, what could he be riding on, right? Or what could he be jumping off of, I guess? And I was like, oh, what about a unicorn? And so I found a 3D print of a unicorn and painted that up. And yeah, that's the bomb that he rides on. It's fine. Like, right? It's cool. I get it. But I just never really cared for it. So yeah, I painted up the unicorn, painted up Deadpool, and smashed them together, and I think they look pretty good. It's the fun little alt, right? So
yeah, something different.
Yeah, I know it's mine. It's not anybody else's.
And this is where, if you're on YouTube, Troy will insert the unicorn. Just kidding, Troy. I like making your life difficult.
Yeah.
All right. What have I been doing hobby-wise? Trench Crusade terrain. So Josh printed me a beautiful ruined church, like bell tower, and I painted that all up to facilitate some BoD Trench Crusade at Adepticon. And I've been working on some other stuff, mainly just kind of priming. I keep some of my stuff here. So I found this little like resin kind of bunker set with a bunch of sandbags. So like got it zenithal and dry brush ready to contrast paint that terrain up. And then I've been working on Space Hulk terrain. So Troy had given me a while back a couple elevators.
That's why I'm not painting. I'm just tricking
yeah.
other people into doing it for me.
I wanted to.
Yeah.
I did the test hallway, and then they're like, let's do the elevator. You gave me the 2. So I did, kind of said, here, I think this will work. And then went to your house and got a box of like 4 more elevators and all the like door sections. So if you see Space Hulk at Adepticon and you like the elevators, that was me. I painted the elevators. And then, so this is hobby, and it's often referred to as a hobby, guys. I've gone a little deep over the last week. And by deep, I mean spending money. I'm not buying miniatures. I'm not buying TCGs. I found a box of my old sports cards from when I was a kid. I collected up until probably I was like 12 or 13. And I was like, this is kind of cool. And I found some cards I forgot I had. And I was like, this is so cool. I want to see what cards are like now. And I went and I ordered a box of like 2024 Absolute, like Panini brand football cards. And I opened some cool cards and I was like, that was really fun. So I bought 2 more boxes. And then I was like, Landon, we should go to the sports card store by our house that I've driven by for the last 7 years and never stopped in. And we bought some baseball cards in boxes. Then I ordered some baseball cards. And then before you know it, I'm in at the store tonight buying a box and getting some more cards. And I got introduced to the owner. So this is Brewtown Collectibles. It's in Greenfield on 76th Street. And I was talking to one of the guys and he goes, yeah, this is our owner. I think it was Jay. And the guy and I started talking. He looked to be probably around, 40s, and about how I collected when I was a kid and now getting back into it with my son. He said, oh, how old is he? And I said, 13. And he has a 13-year-old that plays like travel ball in the area. So we were talking about baseball and where we coach and play. And he gave me a kid's case, which is like this box with like 4 or 5 kind of, blaster pack, like boxes with 4 or 5 packs of cards of different varieties. And he just hands it to me and he goes, here. And so I gave that to Landon tonight. But
Nice.
it was just like one of those cool, kind of nostalgia for me was big. And then getting back into it, Landon's been loving opening packs and kind of researching to see what we're getting. And like, there's a card show in Madison monthly. So we're going to go to the Sheridan by the Alliance Energy Center this weekend for like a card show, walk around, check it out. So I don't know how deep I'm going to get, but it's definitely taken some some time from the other pursuits this week. And because acquisition is hobby, I've been doing Trench Crusade bases, and I want to do some puddles. So I was talking to our buddy Heath about it, and he said you should get some of the Green Stuff World UV resin. So I went to a couple hobby stores to look for UV resin, and I couldn't find any. But then I did see that if you buy the entire Green Stuff World Swamp basing kit, you get the light. You won't be able to see this, but the light and the resin and some pigments and stuff to color the water. So, $60 later, instead of like $10, I have UV resin and a little UV flashlight to make puddles on my Trench Crusade bases. But that was one of those. This feels very unnecessary to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. So
I walked by that and I didn't look to see what was in the big box.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't, because I probably would have done the same thing you did and said, oh, look, like I don't have a real reason for this, but it'd be kind of cool.
So
now
so
I'm
you
worried
actually
next time
get
I go into Game Universe. Yeah.
for like $55 or $55.99, so $60 after tax or whatever. You get 20 resin plant pieces. So like there's like little swamp plants and critters like resin. You get the UV resin water effect, the ultraviolet light, mud textures. There's swamp mud, they're dark brown mud, wild moss, light brown earth, and middle earth pigments. Then they have like paper plants, like the fern leaves, and then some moss, some tufts of different varieties, and tree bark. So it's actually like a ton of basing materials to kind of do swamp bases. So I'll probably end up using a fair bit of it, in the grand scheme of things. But pretty good deal, because Green Stuff World, if you're ordering online, you're going to pay a premium for like shipping.
Right.
Plus, who knows if we can even get it anymore, or if it's a country that we've over leveraged tariffs. All right. Hobby. That's hobby, not tariffs. Tariffs aren't hobby. But speaking of tariffs, crowdfunding. Who is spending monies at Kickstarter? Troy, I'm guessing this might be...
What? You think it would be me?
I think you're back on the Kickstarter.
Yep. Simon tried to get us again with redoing another Massive Darkness game with 4 million miniatures. And I'm like, oh, I don't need this. And then I scrolled down and I'm like, oh, they're doing Massive Darkness RPG 5e compatible. And look, there's just a pledge level just for that. I guess I can do that. So that's what I did. Kind of I don't know, mildly interesting. Again, one of these RPGs that I'll probably never play, but sits on my shelf, and interesting to see what they do there. So that's what I own in. Again, I wouldn't recommend Massive Darkness to anyone, maybe, but and nowadays I'm like, I don't really need 1 million miniatures. You can just 3D print 1 million miniatures if you really wanted to. But that's what I did. I did find the RPG slightly interesting. So I did do that. And I think that one is actually still going on for a little bit, I think. See if I can get... I lied. By the time you're hearing this, it'll be over, but I'm sure Simon will sell you this after the fact. It has 22 hours left as we record this, so there's no way this is getting out before.
You can do it, Troy.
I can do it. You have 1 hour. You have 1 hour. If you're listening to this, you have 1 hour to back it. But you don't, because I didn't get this out in time. That's future me. So the other thing on here that we did miss too, but there will be late pledge on this, is 28 Collected, which is Dave Taylor's newest kind of big book. And if you're again, it's a lot for people that are maybe in the Trench Crusade world, you'd be interested in 28. So basically it comes out of the whole Inquisitor 28 kind of movement. And if you go back in history, if you're familiar with Inquisitor, which was the original kind of mini RPG game that GW did back in, I don't know, early 2000s.
Yeah, late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. I have the...
Gav Thorpe did a ton with that, right?
I have the old... I should have grabbed the... I have the rule book upstairs for the original. And then, but the original had like 54-inch scale miniatures, which were kind of cool, but GW decided that was not in their wheelhouse. And so they stopped that. But again, the rule set was still there. The idea of kind of the Inquisitor side of 40K and having a rule set around that. And so people kind of said, oh, we can just kit bash 28 millimeter miniatures. And a lot of it also, you see a lot of the Blanchette or whatever, John Blanche style. Blanchitsu, there we go. Kind of style in that. So that's kind of the history. Then there were a bunch of guys that were in that movement that were doing kind of I don't know. I don't think I remember what Dave said. So you can also listen to Dave on Independent Characters. Carl just did an interview with him in one of the last episodes where Dave talks in much more detail than I will regurgitate. But they started doing like an online magazine just showing a lot of the really cool miniatures and things like that. And I think they were doing maybe one a year, every 6 months to a year. A lot of really talented people were involved in that movement. And so Dave kind of, I don't remember what the idea was, but it was like, oh, it'd be really cool to have a printed version of this. And so I think Dave talked to the people at different things, and he got all the materials and stuff, and so they're putting together a book. So it's gonna be a pretty cool, again, like a lot of the Dave Taylor books. They're really nice miniature coffee table books, right, that you put on your coffee table and show to your grandma and grandpa when they come over. Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, I bet
don't think they care.
I bet my in-laws would love Inquisitor 28 magazine.
Mm-hmm. Just saying, just put it on your coffee table, just sitting out there. Yeah. So that one has ended, but I'm pretty sure there will be a late pledge pre-order mode that is available in the next coming weeks, is what I think I heard Dave say. So again, I'm kind of at this point, almost anything Dave will put out, I'll support him and what he's doing. So that's it. So that's what got me in there. The Massive Darkness one, just, I don't know, that might have been a bad decision late at night or something. Who knows? But the 28 Collected was a very conscious decision on my part. So I think that's it. And then now there's Ty's Kickstarter find of the day.
Yeah. So get ready for this. This hasn't funded yet. It has 20 days left, but this is the tagline of the campaign. A dating app that matches you with games rather than people. A deck builder that profiles your gaming taste. So with thousands of releases every month, loads of amazing games get lost in the noise. With your backing, our new Ludoscene web app aims to reimagine video game discovery. So this is video game, but I think there's an idea here.
Yeah.
So this guy, it's an app that matches you with games rather than people. So you basically build a deck. You add games, but you get games come across and you swipe up if you're not interested, down into your deck if you are. Then takes your deck and what you've put into it and kind of uses that to discern other games you might be interested in to queue up games for you. And there's a recommendation engine that's powering it. And then there's like editorial folks, like professionals that get paid to like curate their deck. And you can add like reviewers that you like. And this guy, Andy Robertson, I haven't read his stuff, but he says freelance video game journalist for BBC, Forbes, has written for The Guardian, Wired, author of Taming Gaming book. So like, it looks like he pays. So there's a whole list of video game reviewers from like Rock, Paper, Shotgun, old Kotaku like founder, like various video game media. And he's very small startup. I think his goal is like 30,000. He's at like 7 or 8,000, but it's Ludoscene, a game discovery from people you trust. And I thought it was just a really cool idea when you think about like curating recommendations and like compiling. And it says, I don't know how much of it, if any, uses AI, but he makes a point of saying it uses rich human researched data to build your catalog of games. And there are experts that he's paid, and it says it uncovers amazing, unusual, and unexpected matches, not just the usual suspects or big popular games. So it seemed like a really cool idea. And I saw it today. I feel like it was on TikTok or Instagram. I saw it like some reference to it. My algorithm was like, yep, this Ty will like this. And because it's video games, I might just do the like early bird supporter, like $5. But to be a subscriber, it's like 20 bucks or 50 for full access to first year for $50 or 50 pounds. And then if you want to suggest and vote for experts, you can pay more. So like it goes up, right? To be an expert, to behind the scenes, there's different pledge levels, but we'll see if it makes it. I just thought it was a really kind of cool idea. And I think there's definitely an element that you could do like board games or, RPGs or something else too. Like if it took off, I don't think it would be that far-fetched to see it kind of extending beyond the video game industry. But Ludocene, and I'll put the link in. I had not done that yet, but that was my Kickstarter find of the day. Now I can't guarantee that I'll find more each day, but I'll try next time to find one interesting Kickstarter thing to bring to the table. All right. I also put down a whole list of other random stuff that I thought maybe might pique the interest of you guys. So when you have a lot of Adepticon hobby to do, it's generally not a wise decision to buy a new computer game that advertises 120 hours of gameplay. But I did. So I've been walking around 15th century Bohemia, like in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So the sequel to 2018 kind of indie hit Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is not a fantasy role-playing game, but it is an open world, like historical role-playing game. And story's fun, combat is challenging, all sorts of quests. The graphics are beautiful, and you can ride your horse or run around. You can hunt. So like you can be a poacher, a blacksmith, you can make alchemy, like all these different skills. And my brother and I are both just like, I think he's probably more than me. I've logged probably 25, 26 to 30 hours over the last week and a half. But yeah, super fun. It reminds me of like if you took The Witcher and made it like 15th century Europe.
Nice. That sounds fun.
And it hit like 2 million players on Steam, like 2 million purchases on Steam pretty quickly, and they just keep going up. And it's getting very good critical reviews. Like, just kind of a surprise hit though. Didn't really know it was coming, and then I saw it and got hooked.
Cool.
Then speaking of getting hooked, who can't get hooked on the new cover art for the Monster Manual?
That's really cool.
The new kind of reskin of 5e. I don't think that, what are they calling it? D&D 2024 or something?
2024. Yeah, I think that's.
They're not calling it 6th edition, but gorgeous art. They've kind of streamlined the Monster Manual entries. They have made a really, really good looking book. And I can't wait to find the new stuff in it and throw it at you guys in our D&D game. But wanted to share that cover because it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
They do such a good job with these alternate cover books. Like, I think highly recommend if you're buying D&D books, you should try to pre-order the alternate cover art just to add to the collection. Yeah. Yep. The Dungeon Master's Guide.
My player's handbook's upstairs, I think.
Now, do they throw any cool art on the inside too, or is it just the outside?
I think just the outside.
Generally,
the
it's
same.
just
Yeah.
the
The same.
Okay.
The inside. There's still a lot of cool art in the inside, but it's
Yeah. It's the same as cool.
Yeah. But
I've never been
cool
fancy enough to get one, so that's why I asked.
They're not. It's not fancy. It's about getting there first.
Yep, it's just about being early.
Yep.
On the 18th, when it released, I went in the Board Game Barrister because I didn't pre-order, and they had a stack of like 4 of them, and I was like, good. They're like, yeah, we always get a few extra, but they don't last long. And then D&D, I also got a very cool email that I shared with you guys, and I don't think I can talk a ton about it. I can't show any of it ever, but for those of you that like playing in a virtual space for D&D, D&D Beyond and Wizards has been working on what they are calling Project Sigil, which is an online immersive kind of table with minis and dice and full integration with D&D Beyond, using Unreal 5 as the graphics engine that's powering it. So I got my beta key and the ability to share with 5 friends. So like, hopefully play some D&D in Project Sigil. I was talking to Tom. He's pretty excited to check it out because I think it makes roll. I've been a huge Roll20 guy for years and years and years. It makes Roll20 look like ancient history, even with like the updates of Project Jumpgate and what they've done. And it has the full power of Wizards and D&D Beyond behind it. So like, obviously that helps too.
That's pretty cool.
And then Troy, this one's for you because you love racing. The new Magic the Gathering set came out, Aether Drift.
I didn't even know this at all. Like, Ty, you damn it, Ty. Like, you knew. You're like, oh, racing, because I knew there was a new set, but I didn't I never really paid attention.
The starting column, Fall Roads, Country Roads.
Yeah,
Wild
I'm
Roads,
looking at it right. You got me, and I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like,
Engine Rats, Siphon Fuel, Spin Out is an instant, destroy target creature or vehicle. Wreckage Wickerfolk, like Beast Rider Vanguard. It's all racing themed Magic the Gathering stuff.
We might have to do like a draft of this just for
Aether
fun.
Drift draft. Yeah.
That's a low barrier to entry.
And there's like vehicles that you can crew. I don't know. I bought a handful of packs when I made a Noble Knight order because I needed to get to 150 for the free shipping. So I threw in like 4 of the booster packs and just opened those. But
that's fun.
Aether Drift, yeah.
All right.
So Troy's buying Magic cards.
Yeah. All right. Right now, I'm just like,
you're welcome. That's what I do.
You know me. Any kind of racing game is gonna get me. So
I could say, hey Troy, have you seen the new Jet Moto deck building game? And you'd be like, oh, let's go.
Yep, let's go.
Instantly.
Jet Moto in the day. That was amazing.
Yeah. Did you ever play Road Rash?
No. We
that
were like Jet Moto and Wipeout. If you remember, like the original Wipeout on PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Where like we just play over and over and over to finish levels and do that. Those were the two that got the most. Only problem, and they don't. Yeah, I tried to go back once to like Jet Moto, and you're like, it just doesn't. It doesn't hold up. It's your brain fills in a lot more pixels than there were on the screen. That's what's funny. It's like
yeah, for sure.
Because you're like, I remember playing it. And you're like in your brain, you're like, oh, this is really cool, and then you fire it up, and you're like, it looks like 4 squares on the screen, right? You're like, nope. I guess that's why we have new computer games now. So
yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's throw open the doors to the library and talk about what we've been reading or watching. We're going to start this segment off with Josh. Have you been doing any viewing or listening?
I haven't been doing any reading, listening lately. I've just been crushing podcasts lately. I don't know why. Like I've been an anti-reader lately. I don't know why. But
don't worry. Did you read more than one book this year, Josh?
Yes.
Yeah,
then you're ahead of 60% of the adult population of the U.S.
Well, there we go. How about
they don't read a single book in a year?
That's crazy. But Severance season 2 is out, and I'm a couple episodes in, and it's really good. They left kind of a cliffhanger at the end of season 1, and I won't spoil it if you haven't watched, but they're kind of picking up a little bit after that, like fast forward 6 months or whatever. And I mean, that's not a spoiler at all, because they basically say that in the first, however many minutes of season 1 or episode 1. But it's really interesting so far. It's a really fun story and a really interesting way to think about work, right? Like having your work life severed from your outside life, right? It's kind of wild. So you're innie and you're outie, right?
So since you're in your office where you work, are
Yeah.
we talking to your outie right now who's in the office, or are we still talking to your innie who's in your office?
That's a great question.
Any other Apple TV stuff watching while you're binging through Severance? Or I heard there's a new movie that's supposed to be really good called The Gorge. I'm excited for that one.
Oh, nice. No, my wife is making me watch, and I think yours is too. The Love is Blind or whatever.
No,
Yeah.
It was on. It was on in my house today.
Yeah.
And I don't. I tried not. I put my headphones in because I tried not to like.
It's terrible.
I felt like I was being and it's funny because there's a group of people at work that also like watch it, and I learned way too much. It's kind of like a social thing. Like we'll get together and talk. I don't, because I'm like, I can't watch this, so I like you people, but I don't. We'll do other things. So
yep. So not to derail into that. That's
no.
What I will say, Troy, is are you familiar with Mina Kimes, the sports broadcaster? She does NFL stuff.
Yeah.
She is doing watch along like episode recaps. Love is Kimes on her YouTube.
Nice.
And it's fantastic. Because Mina Kimes is so intelligent and funny, and she is doing watch along like podcast recaps.
Yeah.
And they are wonderful. So highly recommend Love is Kimes on YouTube. If you want to get your
there we go. So maybe that's the only way I get into it's like if there's some social interaction, some kind of entertainment beyond the show is the only reason that I would ever, because I'm amazed at what human beings will do.
Right? It's wild.
Yeah. I shouldn't be anymore, but
no. We are probably months away from the real Running Man TV show starting.
I'm right. Yeah, Squid Games, right? We're gonna get real Squid Games.
We're gonna get real life Squid Games. Chain Gang All Stars is right around the corner.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Troy, what have you been reading to stay away from the real world?
I was kind of like, I have a bunch of things in my queue. And then the new Dan Abnett, I don't know how new it is, the sequel to one of his books, which I'm actually reading, in Interceptor City, which is a sequel to Double Eagle, came out. And I was like, I really need to reread Double Eagle. And it happened to be on, when I read it back in the day, it was not on Audible, and now it's on Audible. I grabbed on Audible, I turned it on, and it's like a warm blanket. There's some like Dan Abnett, 40K, and if you haven't read Double Eagle, it's like aerial fighting in the 40K universe, but it's really not. It's like got this. It's really
like
the
Masters
Battle
of the Air, World War II.
Right, it's World War
like
II. It's the Battle of Britain where Dan put a 40K skin on it, and he just does a really nice job with the characters and it again, just kind of the nice space opera kind of thing. And again, I don't even know how old that book is. It had been a long time, so it's literally like I'm reading it again. I mean, I kind of know what, but I couldn't tell you right now. I can't remember exactly all the plot points and anything else like that. But just really enjoying it, enjoying Dan Abnett, 40K universe, fighter planes. It, like I said, it's a warm blanket. It's really, I haven't like, which is good. No one knew exactly what I was getting into like that. So I'll get through that and then dive in. I have a lot of really cool stuff I have on my to read list, but this is a nice little distraction here.
Nice. My to read list grows by like 4 books every week. I'm just like, oh, I need to read this. Oh, I need to read that. And before I know it, I have 100 titles on my TBR. They'll never get caught up, but I'm going to try. So let's see. I finished the second book in Old Man's War, Ghost Brigades, John Scalzi. Have the third one queued up and waiting to get started, but liking that series. Then Nicole and I decided that we're going to do a book a month where we recommend, not even recommend, like we say, you have to read this book this month. And then she gives me a book and says, you have to read this book. So for February, I was assigned in our book swap kind of way to get us kind of reading stuff we don't usually read. The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. It's a Greek last name, but it's like a thriller where a woman, it's set in England, modern day, a woman is like accused of murdering her husband, like, and then is institutionalized, and she won't talk, like she's silent. So she's a patient in this mental institution, and there's a psychotherapist that goes to work there to try to unravel her like psychoses and issues and like get her to start talking again. And it's a thriller, and there's kind of goes back and forth between like his story and what led him there and her story as you unravel what actually happened on that night. So I finished that. It was decent. I mean, definitely not my not my style of book at all, but enjoyed it. I did about halfway through it, and I think I told her, I said, I know what's happening here. Like I figured out the twist, and I was mostly right. I was probably like 80% right on what the twist was and how it worked out. I assigned her tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. She hasn't started yet, and I said, you have 8 days left in the month, so
you have until tomorrow and tomorrow,
because you can't assign me a March book if you haven't read your February book. So
Ty, just because it was assigned to you, I do not see it on your Goodreads. Oh, it's right. So you left Goodreads on me.
Don't do
That's
Goodreads
why
anymore.
No wonder I don't see it. But
I'm on Storygraph.
So two women who I do from work, who I do follow on Goodreads, they gave it 4 and 5 stars apiece. And I can. So
yeah,
it was a good book.
3.5. Yeah, it was well written. It was good. I think it was a little predictable, and then the last like 30 pages were kind of like an info dump of resolution, where it had built at this pace and then just went to like finish. And I was like, I don't know if I would have done that. I would have maybe taken my time with it and kind of, landed the plane smoothly. But I'm not an author, so I can't criticize somebody who does write a best-selling novel, I guess. Or I can and not give a fuck. Anyways, I'm listening. Speaking of reviewing books, I'm listening to a book that I saw all over TikTok and Instagram, and like people talk about it as being this great war novel and this great standalone. It's called The Sword of Kaigan. I don't know if you've seen or heard of this, a Theonite war story. It's been hard. I'm not loving it. I was super excited because I think I'd heard so many good things by people that generally I like their reviews. It's very well reviewed. It's just been a little slow for me. It's not as great as I was expecting, and maybe it is, and it's not my type. I don't know. It had some elements of like what I got from like Poppy War, which I really liked, that series, and R.F. Kuang. But it's set in, it feels kind of, it's either like Korea or Japan-esque, but there's like modern technology, but there's also these like villages with like, they're kind of like magic samurai, right? Like they're the emperors, like the Sword of Kaigan is like this village that defends the emperor's land from invaders because they're like coastal villagers. And there are parts of it that are really good, but there are parts of it that I'm like, I don't really like this. And
so Ty, this sounds like your reviews. So one here is some big wow moments that ultimately saved a book that has some serious pacing problems.
yes.
So that sounds like,
Yep.
but yeah, I mean, it does have like a 4, almost a 4.5 on Goodreads, and it's, I mean, I always like any book that is above a 4.
Yeah,
I'm usually like, that's usually pretty good, because that to get with that, with 50,000 ratings.
Yeah, it's like
stay above a 4 is usually that's crazy usually. So,
and almost to the point where I'm like, I don't know what's
it might
wrong
be
with
the ones
me.
that
I'm
had a
just
lot.
not.
I don't know it, or again, could be one of these things that where there is something to be hype, right? There's something to say, like there will be a little bit of peer pressure reviews, right? You'll see sometimes. I feel like everybody likes it, and then it just continues to get
I mean,
5-star reviews, even though it might not be a 5-star, right?
It's gonna get finished, but it's probably gonna get a 3. I might even do like a 2.75 because on Storygraph you can do sub 3, or like half or quarter increments. Not
you know what it is. It's everyone's friends. Like when you take what is it, Ty? Gods of Fury? What was the
Fury of the Gods?
Fury of the Gods. If you give Fury of the Gods less than 5 stars, all of a sudden you get like attacked by your friends in Discord, and you're like feel peer pressure, like, oh, maybe I need to go change my. I think that's what happened with this book. That's is somebody was muscling everyone to like, oh no, can't be a 4-star. That's not.
Yeah, that's definitely could be. And then I did start. I went to the library a couple weeks ago, and I checked out books. One was a form of silent protest and supporting my local library. I checked out and reread The Handmaid's Tale, but I've already read it, so I didn't count it. But I wanted to, because books that are going to be banned or likely, libraries that suffer funding, when you actually check out, there's incremental like effects of that. So that was something that I could do as a very privileged individual, was go and check that out and read it and visit the library. And then I also picked up Terry Pratchett's Monstrous Regiment. So that has been recommended to me by a few folks. I know, Troy, I think you've mentioned it. I know Dan Bears has spoken highly of it.
Yeah, he's really,
so reading that, a little slow starting, but like I'm starting to get now. It's interesting, and Terry Pratchett is just such a unique voice that, it's I know it's going to be enjoyable, and it's starting to pick up. It's a little slow burn to start as you're meeting the character and experiencing life in Discworld.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get stoned, but I've tried to approach Pratchett, and again, total respect, everything, but I've tried to approach it from a couple different. I think this is one book I also tried to approach, but I didn't. I just never been able to kind of get in and get the magic that there's so many people love them, right, and whatever, and so I definitely can appreciate that, but I have never found the right. And again, I think between Dan and other people have like, yeah, you should go here, and I've tried a couple of those, and I just could never get kind of past the wheel spinning. So unfortunately, maybe someday, who knows, they're still there. So
I did I did definitely. I went to renew it tonight because I had started. And I think it's 2 weeks or whatever. 2.5 weeks at the library these days. So I was like, I need to renew this. I want to finish it. So I have until March 13th now. So hopefully I can get it done.
You and Sarah can go. My daughter goes like every. She loves.
I love
the library.
When I was a kid, I loved going. I can't get my son to enjoy it, but I love just walking around. My library is not as great. Like Greenfield is a little smaller. What I should do is go to like, I've heard the Wauwatosa one's really good, and I've heard the Milwaukee County has a great library system in general, like because you can get books from one to the other. But my specific, the Greenfield one is it's a little smaller, so not a huge selection, but it's nice. and I just like supporting it. So,
and my wife being a school librarian, our kids are all about the library.
All right.
So yeah, it's good.
Is your house like organized in a Dewey Decimal System?
Honestly, yeah, we have bookshelves in a couple different places with kids, mostly kids books, but yeah.
Do you have a
goes
do you
up
have
to
a
young adult?
card catalog up in?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to scan it in, and everybody gets their own Koopman Public Library card.
Cool.
What's the return policy? What's the overdue book policy?
Yeah,
like?
what is that like? Yeah.
You have to like make dinner or something if you're late. So and make your bed and vacuum. So
I did get a notification today from an author that I follow that The Broken Binding has released his next book. Well, not released, but their interest list is open, and the next subscription will be Joe Abercrombie's The Devils coming in May. Joe also said, and via his social medias, that dates for his U.S. tour, he'll be in the U.S. for 2 weeks, are coming soon. If Joe Abercrombie is going to be within a 8-hour drive, I am going to go see him. Like, if he hits Chicago, if he hits Columbus, Ohio, wherever he goes, I think that like I'm going to make a point of going to an Abercrombie reading and signing. The one in London that he's doing is a talk with Stephen Pacey, where Pacey will do a reading from the book, and they're going to have a chat. Like, I was like, why can't we live there? Like,
yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be incredible.
What's a plane ticket? What's a plane like that? It would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing.
I know.
We could.
But coming up soon, May 18th.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, I saw the
jacket,
the release for the
incredible.
Devils. Yeah, I'm excited for new Abercrombie. It's going to be,
and it's totally different. Like, it's a departure from anything in the first Law Trilogy world. So we're not doing a main topic, guys. We're just ranting about main topic adjacent stuff, which is the way we banter. But we have been doing a video segment. We have 2 out so far about Adepticon in Milwaukee and offering kind of a visitor's guide experience to what to see, what to eat, where to go, some tips for, don't be late, take time, explaining the layout, I think we're going to do one more here before our next main episode, where we'll talk about some of the food halls, some of the nearby groceries, perhaps if you want to go explore a neighborhood near Milwaukee, but certainly questions, anything that you've got. So we'll plug that here. You can check it'll hit YouTube, it'll hit our channels. I believe the Adepticon Facebook has been posting links, at least to the first one. I didn't look if the second one did, but we will have a third. So welcome any comments, any questions that you want addressed, anything like that would be cool too, if you're going to Adepticon.
We can tell you what we know, which is a little bit. We think we know a little bit. So,
I mean, 20 years of working downtown and being near the area for our lifetimes, I think we've acquired a bit of knowledge. So certainly check that out. But I think, guys, any final thoughts on things we've talked about or meandered past or through or around?
No, just we are in the run up to Adepticon now. Whatever did my 33 days?
Crazy.
33 days. Get painting, get hobbying.
All right.
Listen to this episode and churn out some minis, because it'll be here soon.
It's coming up quick.
Real quick check. Everything MCP prepped, ready?
No.
No. Okay.
We'll get there. We're close.
All right.
Yeah.
We're close.
Space Hulk,
Playable.
playable, wonderful. The RPG, not even close.
Playable.
All right. Other upcoming events. So I think we talked about New Game. It's a kind of mini single day throughout the spring up near Oshkosh, I believe.
Yep.
There was one beginning of February. There's one mid-March, March 15th and April 19th. New Game of Palooza. So little kind of one-day board game meetup.
Okay, so
Adepticon, March 26th. We'll be here 33 days from recording at the Baird Center in downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is actually not Algonquin for the good land, but some people think it is. Then a couple others in Wisconsin in the summer, RoseCon, the RoseCon. We've talked about how we heard about that one at Midwinter. It's kind of like a wellness retreat meets gaming convention up in Green Lake, Wisconsin, June 26th through the 29th. Then Gen Con, I think still early August is where that lands.
Whether we'll see how we do in Gen Con lotteries and decide if anybody's actually going to go, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. We'll put it up to the lottery, which should be very soon, right?
Yeah, I think, is it this weekend already? Again, I think housing goes up either this weekend or next weekend. That thing we're talking on February 20th here. So don't go look at the website. Don't trust us. So
Gen Con 25, July 31st through August 3rd.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. That gets to the point where now I tell you to please like and subscribe to the YouTube. Show us, send us to your friends, listen, download, do all things, take in the content, enjoy it, and then let us know how we're doing and what you want to hear us talk about. Because when left to our own devices, we see what happens as I ramble on about inane stuff. So give me some direction. Give me something that you want to hear about, and we'll do that. info@basementofdeath.com for any requests, anything you think or care about. Comments in YouTube, sometimes we'll at least like them or check them out and listen. I know on one of our last ones for the Milwaukee, we had a commenter talk about Board Game Barrister in Mayfair and reference kind of that they have a really good indie RPG selection, which is true of the Greenfield location as well. So, I mean, little stuff like that. That's why, we do this. Hit us up. Let us know. basementofdeath.com has all the fun stuff. And then playinandslayin.com.
Yeah, that's where you can find us.
The feed. That's fantastic. Yep. Always Goonhammer Media Network. Go check out our other friends that produce plenty of content. Some of it much more frequently than we do over there. But for now, I'm not going to forget how we close an episode this time. Keep the dice rolling, the drinks on ice, and no matter what, keep playing and slaying. So thanks for listening. And when you are, oh man, now I forgot the outro. We're going to have to edit this.
Now I got to reset. We all got to reset. Here we go.
I almost did the important to stay hydrated. I know.
Whew. We were doing so good. There we go.
We were. So Adepticon, it'll be fun. It'll be real. Like Josh says, it'll be real fun.
It'll be real fun. I'm excited.
I need one of you to do it. I've lost the full.
You have to do it.
Yeah, you have to do it. It's your outro. Keep the dice rolling. The drink's on ice. And no matter what, keep playing and slaying.
Oh, okay.
I saw the downshift too. You were like, "What? Wait a minute."
Woo! Now I'm all red in the face.
Yeah.
I'm all
No, you're good.
flustered.
You're good. You got this.
Well, that's going to do it. So, as always, keep the dice rolling.
I knew. I'm like, I can't keep it.
Giggles.
I couldn't keep it either. I'm like, I'm gonna lose it.
Hilarious. You got it.
It's just the giggles.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I geeking out? I'm not even high. All right. Troy, I had to make it hard for you to edit. You're welcome. All right. Keep the dice rolling. The drink's on ice. And no matter what, keep playing and slaying.